Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, Advice to Think Twice. My name is Monica and I'm here with a deck review. I'm going to start doing reviews for every deck I have and then see where I go from there. So I'm going to start with tarot decks. And today I'm reviewing the Hanson Roberts Tarot. Okay, and it is illustrated by Mary Hanson Roberts. It is a nice little box with the King of Cups on the back. And you have, with the cards, you have this pamphlet to give you information. You have a description of the card and then meanings if the card is upright and meanings if the card is reversed. You go through the major arcana cards in the beginning and then you have each suit and each card in the suit. So for example, you've got 10 of Swords, 9 of Swords, 8 of Swords, and just a little bit of writing for each card. So if you are a beginner, you could definitely use this deck. It's very easy to use. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But you would need an additional book on the traditional meanings of the cards, because if you were to just focus on this pamphlet and use the information that is just in the pamphlet, I think it would be a bit difficult and a bit of a challenge for you to put cards together and create a story with just this information in the pamphlet. So maybe you just need an additional book on the traditional meaning of the cards, and then with that and this pamphlet you could easily use the cards and get the messages that they're trying to give you. And these are the cards. This is the deck. It is a smaller deck than a traditional deck. For example, this is a traditional tarot card. This is actually part of the universal weight tarot deck, and so this is the size of a tarot card traditionally, and this is the size of the Hanson Roberts tarot cards. Okay, so they're just a little smaller. They are closer in size to a deck of playing cards. Actually, they're the size of a playing card deck. But I don't feel like that takes away from them in any way. Because they are smaller and because they have this glossy surface, they are a lot easier to handle, very easy to shuffle, very easy to work with, to lay them out. This is the back of the cards. They're very ornate, very artistic. If you read the pamphlet, they were actually initially done in pencil, in colored pencil, and then they just started printing off that. And you could actually see, you know, if you look closely and carefully at the cards, you can see, you get that feel. You see that that is a colored pencil originally. Okay, you have all these lines and shading and all of that. They're really beautiful cards, okay? And I love working with them. So I'm gonna take you through each card. I'm gonna show you each card individually. I'm not gonna, you know, hold it up for too long, but you can pause the video and take a better look at it if you want to. So I'm gonna take you through the cards now, and then give you my impression of how easily I can work with them, if you can work with the cards, create a story easily, or if you have any difficulties. So I'm just going to take you through the cards and then get to my opinion of the deck. I love the deck, so let's just make sure that's clear. So this is the 8 of Rods, the Hanged Man, The colors are very gentle, very subtle, and expressive at the same time, so I really love them. The Wheel of Fortune, 10 of Rods, the Knight of Swords, and you can see the expressions on the characters in the cards, and you can play off of them. So to me that is a big help. This is the Knight of Pentacles, 7 of Cups, Knight of Rods. So in this deck, rods are wands, the Tower, the 2 of Pentacles. And see what I mean about expression? You can really see the playful nature of this card on this person, on her expression. Because yes, you have stormy waters behind you, everything's going on, you're trying to balance these pentacles, but she's actually smiling, okay? So that really, you know, plays into the tone of the card, where you have a lot going, you need to balance a lot of things, and you're advised to take an uplifting approach, you're advised to take a playful attitude in order to do it all, okay? So that really shows on her expression. The Emperor, the Page of Cups, the 6 of Pentacles, the High Priestess. And with the High Priestess, she keeps her cards close to her chest, and she's got a good poker face on, and you really see that in this card. You can't really read her just from her face expression. The Magician, the Ace of Rods, or the Ace of Wands, the 5 of Swords. And again, facial expression, for me at least, plays a big part in interpreting this card. I read my cards intuitively. I pay attention to what the traditional meaning of the card is, but mostly I read intuitively, and so things like this I pick up on, like facial expressions or body posture in the card or anything like that. Page of Swords, Ace of Cups, Three of Pentacles. With this one, you usually have 3 people in the card, and so sometimes people say that's like a triangle. It could be a love triangle or anything like that. And I feel like it was the author's intent to just highlight the work-related aspects of this card, because it is highlighting the fact that you're focusing on your work, you're focusing on what you do, and you have your back turned to everyone else, so you don't know that people are actually looking at you, and they're looking at your work and evaluating it and enjoying your work. The 8 of Cups, the 8 of Swords, the 9 of Rods. And again, look at his face, look at his expression, look at the beautiful colors. The Star card, the King of Swords, and you have an eagle in the background on his chair over here, and to me that talks about his bird's eye view on things, the fact that he's got a sharp mind, the fact that he's got a clear head, a clear perspective, and an overview of things at all time. The Page of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles, and you can see just how safe and secure he is with his material possessions just by looking at his face. And you have, you know, tiny symbols in the card that again give you messages, give you directions for your interpretation, because we have the King of Pentacles, And then we have a bull on his throne, actually, and that is, you know, making you think of Taurus, and Taurus is an earth sign, and so on and so forth. The Six of Rods, the Seven of Swords, and again, look at his expression. He's getting away with something. The Two of Cups, and you could really see the connection and the love on their faces. Beautiful colors, beautiful artwork, beautiful illustration. Four of Cups, the Empress, the Judgment, the Hermit, the Chariot, the Five of Pentacles, the Page of Rods, or the Page of Wands, the Hierophant, the Three of Cups, the World, the Ace of Swords, the Four of Pentacles, the Temperance card, the Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Cups, the Ten of Swords, the Fool, the Devil, the Justice card, the Eight of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, the Nine of Cups, the Three of Swords, the Sun, the Five of Rods, the King of Cups, the Queen of Cups, the Six of Cups, the Lovers, the Ace of Pentacles, the Nine of Swords, the Seven of Rods, and again, look at his face. He is on top of things. He's got a lot of things coming at him, but he's not scared. He has got the upper hand. Okay? You can really see that in his face. Six of Swords, Four of Swords, the Nine of Pentacles, the Lady in her garden, the Seven of Pentacles, and you really get a sense of the weight that is associated with this card, the weight, the patience that is necessary. You can see that from his body posture. The Four of Rods, the Queen of Swords, and she's wearing armor, and so to me that plays into the Queen of Swords being guarded. The King of Rods, the Two of Swords, the Queen of Rods, and you still have all the symbols in the card. You still have the cat to serve as a reminder that she's very in touch with her intuition. You still have the sunflower over there, to remind you of her abilities to create. You have the lion in the card to remind you that she is a fire sign. Okay, and you can see it on her face that she is kind. She's got a kind, gentle nature, but she's wise at the same time. She doesn't look naive. Three of Rods, Knight of Cups, the Death card, the Two of Rods, the Moon, the Strength card, and the Five of Cups. Okay, so that's all the cards. Like I say, I didn't dwell on them because you can pause the video. I don't want this to be an hour-long video. You can just pause the video and look at the card in detail and see what you get off of the card. These cards are really, really beautiful. They're not intimidating at all. I've seen some tarot decks that made me feel intimidated and like I don't think I could work with them. I don't think I was, you know, uncomfortable to look at them and to try to get the messages off of them. It feels like a child's book. It feels like the illustrations you would put together, you would draw for a child to get them to learn, while at the same time not be scared of the images. And with the Nine of Cups, you see the smugness on his face, and you've got the peacock feather in there, and that symbolizes pride. So you've got all these symbols that you still have the symbols that the traditional meanings talk about, but you have the author's spin on it because they were trying to highlight a specific aspect of that card. So for example, I'm going to look at the Knight of Pentacles. He's a good example. With the Knight of Pentacles, so all knights are riding horses, okay? That's how they illustrate the knights, because they are meant to signify movement, action, and so each knight is on a horse, and then you have the other different aspects of each knight. Like for example, with the Knight of Cups, he's on a horse. He doesn't look like he's in a hurry. He can definitely hold that cup in his heart, in his hand, and the cup won't spill. So we know he has a gentle pace, but we also know that he's moving. With the Nine of Swords, he is charging in. Look at his face. He just wants to get things done, and we have the clouds in the background. And again, you see the pencil effect on that. And that is really letting you know that when he comes around, there may be some chaos, there may be some conflict, because he only sees ahead. He's looking just ahead. He doesn't look at anything else or anyone else around him for him to be able to see how his actions actually impact anyone else. He's just focused on his goal. With the Knight of Rods, this is another good example. You see the horse, he's on a horse, but I feel like the author tried to highlight the fact that he stands for swift movement and swift departures. And so by the time, to me, what this card is saying is that by the time you realize that the Knight of Swords is coming at you, he's already past you. So you just see his back as he runs in the other direction. Because with the Knight of Wands, he's all about, like I say, quick action, quick movement, sudden change, and swift departures. Okay, so he is in and out of your life before you even get a chance to figure out what's going on. And so to me, that this illustration is really reinforcing that. that before you know what's happening and before you can, you know, think about making plans with this person, he's just out of your life already, and you just see him go. And with the Knight of Pentacles, he is a knight. I'm sure he's on a horse. We don't see it, but he's a knight, and so he has to be on a horse. But I think the author chose not to put the horse in the picture to set him apart from all the other knights, because if you don't see the horse, for me what this says, it's still talking about change, it's still talking about action because it is a knight. But with me not being able to see the horse, I could almost think that, okay, so he still stands for change and action. It may only be slower, it may feel like it's at a walking pace rather than a horse's pace, if that makes sense. Okay? And so it's just little things like that. I'm an intuitive reader, so I do pay attention to the traditional meaning of the cards. You have to, otherwise you're not reading tarot. You're going into oracle cards territory, or at least that's how I see it. And so I do pay attention to the traditional meaning of the cards, but I pay attention to everything else as well. I pick up on things intuitively, like I was saying, just someone's expression or the posture someone has in a specific card, or what I know the traditional card looks like, and then when I see how it's portrayed here differently, it makes me think, why did the author do that? And then I'm just picking up on things that he's been, that he's tried to highlight. And so, for example, let's compare the Page of Wands in the traditional illustration with the Page of Rods in this illustration. So in this example, I feel like the Page of Rods is really, the author, the illustrator, has focused on the aspect of the Page of Wands that relates to communication and news coming your way. Okay, this is looking like an old town crier just spreading news, whereas in the traditional illustration, you know that the Page of Wands stands for news coming your way because he's a page, and you know that page signifies communication and messages, but you don't necessarily pick it up off of this illustration, or you don't focus on that right away. And there's so many other things that you focus on this card that you use to interpret the meaning of the card. But in this particular illustration, the author focused on the news that comes your way. Okay, and I just I enjoy, having a deck where I see the tradition in it, the traditional meanings, and at the same time I'm able to see the author's spin on it. And like I say, these cards are beautiful. They're very easy to work with. They are not intimidating in any way. A beginner could work with them, definitely, and I think a beginner would enjoy them. I think they would be easier for a beginner to use because of their size. They're so easy to use because they feel like tarot, and they feel like playing cards. And for someone who hasn't really held on to tarot cards, they may be a bit big, and you need to figure out how to shuffle. Do you shuffle, on their, with, holding them, on their length, or, holding up like this and shuffling like this? It's just, it may be, for someone who's just starting out, it may be a bit off-putting, just until they find their own way of doing things, of course. But for an absolute beginner, yes, definitely you could use these cards. They're beautiful. Like I say, the imagery is beautiful. Artwork is great, very expressive. It gives you a lot of information on an intuitive level. They are still true to the traditional meanings of the cards. And like I say, provided you do some research before and you know the traditional meanings of the cards, then this pamphlet is actually giving you extra information, and that way you can put all the puzzle pieces together and get the story from all the cards that you're reading. What else? Like I say, it's very, very expressive, okay? it gives off a warm kind of feeling, a warm, inviting feeling. When you look at the cards, you want to get to know them, you want to work with them, you want to see how they work together. The colors are vibrant and yet subtle at the same time, if that makes sense. So I feel like there's a balance between all the colors in the cards. There's not one that stands out more than the other. There's not, you know, contrasting cards in the deck. Sometimes you have a very strong color in one card and then another card doesn't have a lot of color in it, and so when you put them together it may be a bit difficult for you to link them together and see the message, the common message that they're trying to give you, because they're so contrasting. Obviously this is just my experience because I'm doing the review and I've worked with the cards. It'll be different for everyone else, and that's okay. But I feel like the deck is very well illustrated, very welcoming, very warm tone to it, very inviting. And you do get a lot of information. Like I say, there's traditional symbols and then there are things that the author wants to highlight in each and every card. And so that gives you the traditional perspective while at the same time giving you a chance to put your input into the reading, okay? It's giving you a chance to really use your intuition as well and not just reading the traditional interpretations. So that way I feel like it's helping you grow because it's helping you connect with your intuition more. Like I say, I really love this deck. It's my current favorite. It's not the latest I've purchased, but it is my favorite and I'm going to continue to use it. I try to be fair to all my decks and use them all every now and again so that, you know, they are all coming out for air and get a chance to give us their insight and their guidance. Because I'm an intuitive reader and I use my intuition a lot in everything I do, really. Whenever I want to do a reading, I go to my decks, take a deep breath, and see which deck I am attracted to. I focus on the kind of reading I want to do, and I'm drawn to specific decks that I could use for that reading. And whenever I start to do the reading and I see the different illustrations of the cards focusing on a specific thing, that's when I think, oh, that's why I was guided to use this deck, because I was supposed to focus on this and not other aspects, for example. So that's my review. Again, we did the Hanson Roberts Tarot deck review. Like I say, my absolute favorite. I would definitely recommend this to beginners, to anyone who is now comfortable with reading tarot cards, and I would even recommend it to people who are experts, if I can say that. You're always learning and you're always growing, so you're never truly an expert when it comes to spirituality, I think, at least. But I would use, you know, this deck, I would recommend it to people who actually absolutely know what they're doing, and they've been doing this their entire lives, because it gives you like a fresh air, like a fresh perspective. It's a relaxing tone. Everything flows with this deck, and I really, really love it. Like I say, it's very expressive. The colors, the messages, the symbols that the authors are focusing on, it's all very expressive and very easy to work with and very easy to read. So I hope you enjoy this review. I hope you know, you are interested. I hope you are attracted to this deck, or, you know, anyway, I hope it gives you some kind of a feeling. And if you've been interested in this deck, I hope that this review is helping you make up your mind and pushing you in the direction of purchasing it, for example, and using it. Any questions that you may have of the, you know, related to this deck that I did not answer in this review, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can and answer your questions the best way I can. Like I say, absolute favorite. Definitely recommend it to everyone who is interested in reading tarot cards. And thank you for being here with me and for watching this video till the end. and I will see you again in the next video, okay? Take care.